Okay, before
Sorry.
can you know a little bit about yourself? Okay, I understand that you're expert in CyberArk, but apart from that, are you expert in any other products like Okta or SailPoint or whatever?
No, starting from my career, I have worked with CyberArk only. I joined an organization for CyberArk role. I worked there 3, 4 years. After that, I left it, and then I started this training. Right now, I'm a trainer only. I'm full into training, and
Okay.
from the last 3, 4 years, I'm doing this thing.
Okay. So the reason why I ask is that I worked in Okta. So I
Okay.
mean, you know about the overview of Okta. Maybe you can compare CyberArk against Okta. Even Okta also does the same. It protects identities. So I just want to know the similarity between Okta and CyberArk, if you can.
Okay. Okta basically it's an IAM platform, not your PAM security tool.
Okay.
Okay. IAM works with the user's access. You can manage the end user's access within it. You cannot store accounts or you cannot define policies on the account within Okta. But for CyberArk, what do we do is CyberArk is a system where you get a storage system, and within that storage system, you can onboard all of your privileged accounts. Okay, so Okta is basically managing the user's access, and CyberArk it is for managing the privileged accounts.
Okay.
Yes. Anything else before we start? Nothing. All right. So starting with it, as I said that this is going to be the first session, and here we start with the basics of security. For the basics of CyberArk, we start with the architecture of CyberArk. CyberArk, we know it is a tool that is implemented in organization for the security reasons. Okay. Now, what security reasons? It is there for the security of your privileged accounts. Okay. Whatever privileged accounts we had, these accounts were used to access the end servers. Okay. There are different systems, there are different applications, there are different servers. And to access them, privileged accounts were getting used. Okay. Before any tool, the users they used it directly. They launched a connection client, and through that connection client, they connected to the target machine. But what happens, we even discussed it in the previous session, that going through that method or using a direct connection, initiating a direct connection is something that's very much risky. Okay. Your accounts, it can be compromised, and if the accounts get compromised, in that case, you'll be losing your server as well. That is why for the security, CyberArk, it's the security tool. It's implemented within your organization. Once it's implemented, you onboard your accounts, your privileged accounts into it. And the users that were using the accounts directly through a connection client, now they will be asked to get into CyberArk and use the account from here. Okay, so that is the basic working first of all. Now, the next thing is whenever I say CyberArk, you might think that it is a one component tool. You install this one component and the connections will work through it. Okay, it's not like that. CyberArk, it's an entire system where different components will be installed, each having different functionality. And when you combine all of them, when all of these components are involved in the workflow, only then you will be getting your CyberArk's architecture. If let's say if you think of leaving any one of the component, of not installing any one of the component, it won't work. So when you're learning about the architecture of CyberArk, you should know that what are the different components, where will the account get stored, where will the user access the account, and how the connections will go to the target machine. Okay, starting with it. As I said, CyberArk, it's a multi-component system. So the first component that we get within CyberArk, it's something that we call as vault. Now, what is a vault? Vault is a very common term here. What is vault?
Security store.
Vault is basically a system, a storage system that is storing your details. Correct? Within banks, we have the vaults. And what do we keep there? We keep our resources, the important resources, precious one. Okay. Similarly, this is a digital vault that you have for CyberArk. In physical vault, we keep our goals and some bonds, if some important papers. That's what we do there. In a digital vault, what are we going to do is we are going to store the accounts. Okay, we don't store your server details, we don't store your data, we store the accounts through which you are accessing that server or accessing that data. Okay, and where will this account get stored? It gets stored on the vault. So what is it? It is a repository for all privileged accounts. It is a repository for all privileged accounts. For policies, now when there are accounts, there will be policies that will be governing these accounts. So policies as well, it gets stored on the vault. Now there will be logs. So when you have accounts, the users, they'll come in here, they'll use the account and they'll log into the target machine. Their activity details, their activity logs, it gets stored on the vault. Recordings. So along with the text logs, one more thing that you get from CyberArk, it records your sessions as well. You go to CyberArk, you use an account, you initiate the connection, CyberArk will start recording it. Okay, and the recording, it will be saved in this vault. Next thing that we have here, yes.
Is it optional to have it recorded? Can you disable it or you cannot do that?
Yes, you can disable it.
Okay.
Okay, and config files. So there will be some configurational files as well that get stored on the vault because this is the repository. Okay. Basically, whatever you have, anything that has to be stored, Vault is the storage system and they will be stored over here. Okay. That is the thing. Any questions from this vault? All right. Now let's say that we have a Windows server here. Okay, it's a Windows server. On this Windows server, you have a data stored. And to access that data, what this Windows team has done is they have created a privileged account here. Password XYZ. Okay. So what do we have is we have a target machine, a Windows server, where some data or some tool is installed. Now there is a team that is working on this server, on this tool, or on that data. And that team, to access that data, that team to get into this server, they have created this account, a privileged account. And using this, they are logging in here. Okay. Any guesses that how will they log in? Right now, you don't have CyberArk, so how will they log in?
How they log in using the privileged account directly into the Windows server
Like, what is the process?
process.
Did you say RDP?
Correct. So RDP, it is the process through which they will be logging in here. RDP, it's a client, connection client. Connection clients are basically applications that allows the users to connect to the target machine remotely. Okay. So if a user he wants to connect from his laptop to this Windows server, he will be using a connection client for that. Okay. RDP is the connection client for it here. He launches the RDP connection client, define the details on that, the IP address, the credentials. And after defining that he connects to this server. Okay. But what happened, as discussed, that following this process, using the accounts directly through a connection client is something that's risky for your accounts. Why risky? Because in this process, every user who is connecting here, he will have the password. He will know the password. That's why he's connecting. When he's connecting directly, his ID, it won't get mapped anywhere. Everything that you see on the target server, it will say that this privileged account has done the activities. But what user has done this? Nothing about it. So, yes, we had risks. The passwords were exposed. The users were not accountable for their actions. Um, and it's very hard to audit the things in this case. Okay. That is why, for the security reasons, for the security of your privileged accounts, what we did is, let's say we implemented CyberArk. Okay. The Vault is installed. Vault is the repository. Vault is there for the storage of your accounts. So this account that you have, the privileged account that you have, it will be onboarded within the Vault. How will you onboard it within the Vault? You just have to go there. You just have to define that this is the account, the username of the account, the password of your account, and that's it. Okay, the account, it gets onboarded.
So instead of manually creating the privileged user in the vault, is there any automated process where you can import it from the Windows server? I mean, if it is just one privileged account, that's fine. If there are multiple privileged accounts, can you just automatically import by using maybe some kind of connection or whatever?
Yes, there are multiple options available for that. Right now, because it was only one account, so I showed you like this.
Okay.
Okay, whatever the process, whether it is manually onboarding or automatically, whatever it is, in the end, what will you get is you'll get the vault, and there you'll see that the account is here. It's onboarded. Okay, so the account here is now onboarded. Now we have an end user. Okay, we have a new candidate join. Hi, Keen. I guess that's how you pronounce your name.
It's Kenny.
Kene, okay. Hi, I guess you joined late. Did you miss anything?
Um, yeah, I probably watched the parts I missed, but I'm following.
Okay, you'll get the recordings. No worries. You can go through it and revise everything that we did before you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we have a user here, an end user. Before CyberArk, he was using this account directly, launching a connection client. Now, because we have CyberArk and the account is onboarded here, what he'll do, he'll go to this vault, use the account from here, and connect to the target machine. That's what we have here. Okay. In your direct connections, you were getting risks, you were getting problems. Users had the passwords, users were not accountable. So when you have this vault, you onboard your account here, you ask the user to get in here, use the account from here, and then connect to the target machine. With this process, what happens is that because the user, he is going through CyberArk, he is using the account on CyberArk. So CyberArk, it keeps an entry of all of these things. That this user, he logged in, he used this account at this timing, he connected to the server at this timing. Okay. So the accountability issue you had, it will be solved with this particular process. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, that was too slow. Clear for everyone else?
Yeah, it's clear for me, but I guess I because I missed some a little parts. Are you have you explained the different uh parts like the
Um,
CPM
no,
EPV?
no. Just started with
Okay,
it.
okay.
EPV is this. This is the Enterprise Password Vault, EPV.
Yes, 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 I
Yeah, you've
recognize
just
that.
started.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens here is this is the process. Okay. A good process, users are going through CyberArk, so their sessions, their login sessions are getting tracked. Okay. But one problem that we have with this particular process is okay, the account is secured here, the user, he is getting in here. But when he gets in here, along with this one privilege account, there are like because this is the repository, so there will be a lot of other accounts as well. There can be other thousands of accounts. There can be policies. There can be logs for every single session. There can be recordings for every single session. Configurational files. Okay. So yes, the user, he wants to use only this privileged account. But when he is getting into the vault, what he's getting is he's getting everything that you have within CyberArk. Why? Because you are allowing his access to your repository, to your database. Okay. So yes, one problem of yours, that accountability issue, it is getting resolved. But in what terms? Your every other data, it's getting exposed if you do this process, if you go with this process. Correct? Even if one of your problem is getting solved, you have other problems with this process. Then why CyberArk? Why Vault? Okay. That is why what happens that this is not the process how the connection goes in. And that's why I said that CyberArk, it's not a one component thing. There are different components. Every component will have their different functionality. Vault here, it is only for the storage of the data. It is not there for users connection. Okay. For users connection, we have a different component. That we call as PVWA, or Password World Web Access. Okay, this is the next component of CyberArk. PVWA, or Password World Web Access. Now, what is this PVWA? Vault was the repository. PVWA, it's the user interface for CyberArk. Okay, now what is a user interface? For this user interface, you'll get a URL. Okay, this is a portal for which you'll be getting the URL. You will go to this URL, you will log in here. Whenever you try to log in, this interface, this is not having anything. It will immediately go to the vault in the backend. And because the vault is having this thing stored, so it will be retrieving this from this vault and it will show up the things here on this portal. Okay, so the data is not getting stored. Whenever the user tries to log in, PVWA will go retrieve the details and will populate it here. That's how it works. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So let's say there is a user, he tried to get into this PVWA. PVWA, it went to the vault, and whatever you have there on the vault, everything will be accessible for this PVWA. So if let's say if you have the accounts here, accounts can be retrieved on the PVWA as well. If you have policies, that can be retrieved here. Logs will be here, recordings will be here. Okay, a lot of other tabs as well. I'm not writing all of them, but yeah. Whatever data is stored on the vault, for each and every data, there is a different tab within the CyberArk. If you want to get the details about privileged accounts, you go to the privileged accounts tab. If you want to check with the policies, you go to the policies tab. Okay, that is how you have the things. Now let's say this is the user. He's having access to this one account. He logged in here. PVWA went to the vault and retrieved everything. Okay, again, all of the information, privileged account, policies, logs, recordings. So what will be the difference here? Same data was available from the vault. PVWA, even if it is not storing anything, it's retrieving the same thing. Then what difference do you get?
You don't get access to the other accounts that are stored in the CyberArk.
Your voice is not very clear. Can you repeat it?
So you don't get access to other accounts.
Okay. So yes, what happens here that okay, PVWA, it is the interface, it can communicate with the vault and it can get the things from there. But whenever a user tries to log in, PVWA does not retrieve every single data. Yes, it will go to the vault, but on the vault, it will first check for this user. Okay, whatever user is trying to log in here, it will check for that, whether this is a correct user or not, whether this user is having the membership of CyberArk or not. If this user is having the membership, in that case, what things are accessible for this user? Is it the accounts? Is it the policies? Is it the logs? What is it? If the account is accessible, in that case, what accounts? Because it's not possible that it's not there that every user will have access to every single account. Different users, they work on different types of accounts. So if an end user is there, what account exactly is accessible for him? It checks for all of these things. Okay, what it checks? First, it will be checking for the membership, like it will be authenticating the ID, whether the user is correct or not. And then it will be checking for the permissions, authorizing the accounts, checking for the authorizations. And after this authentication and authorization, this PVWA, whatever things are accessible for that particular user, only that gets retrieved here. Nothing else. If let's say if you have 1,000 of accounts and out of that 1,000 of accounts, only 5-6 accounts are accessible for this user, only those 5-6 accounts gets retrieved from the vault. Okay, so this is how the access it's controlled. Users will get the thing that they want to use, and nowhere the data is getting exposed. Is that clear?
Yes.
Everyone here, is that clear? Can you and
Yes, it is.
Ramesh here? Okay, so that is how the second component of CyberArk works. Vault was there only for the storage. PVWA here, it is for the user's access. And what access? It first checks for the user's permission and then retrieves the details and allows the login. Okay, so it is a component that has the ability Okay, so PVWA has the ability that it can filter out the data based on user type and their authorizations. Whatever type of user it is. If the end user is an admin, in that case, the accounts, policies, config files, that's what is retrieved for him and it will show up here. If the user is an auditor, in that case, logs, recordings, that's what will be accessible for him. And if the user is an end user, in that case, nothing else. Only the privilege account will be available, and within the privilege account, only on whatever account he is having the access that will be retrieved. Okay, so this is the second thing here. After this PVWA, we have our next component. And the next component, it is something that we call as Central Policy Manager. Central Policy Manager or CPM. Okay. PVWA was the front-end UI, Vault was the repository. Central Policy Manager, it is a component that is responsible for password management. Okay. Now, what is password management? When you have CyberArk, within it, what we are doing is we are onboarding multiple accounts. Correct? There are a lot of accounts that are getting onboarded within it. Thousands of accounts. Okay. Before CyberArk, what you had is the users, they will be having the password of all of these accounts and they used it directly. Correct? The password before was exposed and the users, they were using it directly through a connection client. Let's say now you have CyberArk, you onboarded the account. Just after onboarding, what do we want to do? And what should we do is we should change the password of your accounts. Why? Because this old password, this XYZ password, is something that was exposed. Users had it, users were using it. So if you just onboard your accounts and if you don't change your passwords, in that case, there will be no use of CyberArk. Why? Because users, they can still skip the CyberArk, they are having the password. So they can launch the connection client and they can use the account directly. No issues in that. That is why whenever the accounts are getting onboarded, it's always said that you should change its password. And after this thing, after the change on onboarding, you should keep it changing on certain intervals. After 10 days, 15 days, 30 days, you should keep your password changing. Why? Because having a static password, it's always a risk. Different users are coming in here, different users are using this account. Any user, anyhow, if let's say if he gets the access and if he skips CyberArk and uses the account directly, you cannot stop that. But for the prevention, we have this thing that we can keep on changing the password on the first onboarding. You can have a policy that you can change the password on every password retrieval. You can have a policy that you can change the password on every 7 days, every 10 days, every 15 days, whatever you want. So password change, it's a feature that you get from CyberArk. Now what happens? That when you have CyberArk, you'll have thousands of accounts. Correct? There can be 10, 20 thousands of accounts onboarded there. And manually changing the password is something that's not possible. You cannot go to CyberArk and you cannot change the password of all of your 10 or 20,000 of accounts manually. Not possible. That's why for this particular thing, this CyberArk has created a separate component called Central Policy Manager. This is a component that is responsible only to work with the passwords, to manage the passwords. Whenever you need, on one click, it will be changing the password of your accounts. Okay, and for it, you just have to define a policy. Policies, if you see, it's here on the PVWA. So you will have to get in here, go to the policies tab. Here you have to define that how often you want the password to be changed. You want it to be changed after every usage, or you want it to be changed after every 7 days, 5 days. You define it, and CPM, it takes that, reads the policy, and executes that thing. Okay, so that's what you can do. You can define the change frequency, and it will be implementing that. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah, that yes was too low. What about others? Ramesh and Sama.
Yes, it's clear.
Got
Okay.
it.
Apart from this, like apart from password change, the CPM, it has some more things to do. But when we get into detail of this, like this is just a basic overview of the architecture. After this, we'll be discussing about detail about each and every component. So when we move into detail of the CPM, then we'll be discussing about everything that the CPM does. Okay, for now, that's what it is doing, changing the password. After the CPM, we have our last component. And this is something that we call as PSM, Privileged Session Manager. Central Policy Manager was managing the passwords. Privileged Session Manager will be managing your sessions. How will it manage the sessions? First thing you have to know that it is a response. Okay. It is responsible for session management. Now, what is session management? Session management includes three things: monitoring, recording, and isolation. Okay. What is it? Here we have seen that CyberArk, it is having the logs and the recordings. Who is generating it? It's the PSM. Whatever users you have, they come to this PVWA, they use the account from here. After using the account, they initiate a connection. Connections from this PVWA, it won't go to the CPM because during the connection, password change will not be done. So CPM is not involved in the connections workflow. From PVWA, it will go to this PSM. Okay. From PVWA, it will go to the PSM. CPM here, it is not there involved in the workflow. When it goes to the PSM, PSM starts monitoring the session. It starts the monitoring thing, what user is doing what. Starts recording. So whenever this user, he goes to this target machine, whatever he is doing on this target machine, because the connections are going through PSM, PSM will monitor and record each and every activity of that user. Okay, not only on the CyberArk, but even on the target machine, whatever the user is doing, PSM, it has this feature that it can monitor and it can record the sessions. Okay, and now what is isolation? Isolation is basically isolating two different sessions of two different users. If you don't want that whatever user one has done should be visible to the user two, you have this isolation. Isolating the sessions. So that is the third component here. PSM. Okay, this is basically the complete architecture of Vault of CyberArk. Vault is the repository, it will be storing everything. Now, because the Vault is the repository, so users, they don't access the repository directly. Why? Because everything you have, it will be available on the Vault. And if the users get in here, they will be able to access each and everything from the Vault. Okay. Users for their activities. Now, it can be any activity. It can be using an account. It can be onboarding an account. It can be defining policies. It can be checking with the logs, recordings, working with the config files. Everything will be done from this PVWA. Okay. Let's say a user, he is onboarding a privileged account. So onboarding will be done through PVWA, but ultimately this will go to the vault. Logs and recordings. Logs and recording is something that's created by the PSM. But from the PSM will be sending it to the vault. PSM won't store the recordings. The PSM will be sending that recording and log to the vault. And if there is an auditor, in that case, auditors will be getting the logs and the recordings retrieved from the vault. So basically, everything with which you want to work, for that you have PVWA.
Okay.
Yes. And if you talk about the workflow, let's say this is an end user, he will be getting the URL of this PVWS portal. Okay. He'll go to his browser, he'll type that URL. He will be getting the login page of the PVWA. On the login page, he will be defining his credentials. Okay, whatever credential it is. Let's say this is your user 1. So he defines his username and the password. PVWA, immediately it will go to the vault. On the vault, there will be a list for users, like these users are having access to CyberArk. So on that list, it will check for this user 1. If this user 1 is there, in that case, what access is he having on CyberArk? What things are accessible for him? Is it the accounts? Is it the policy? What is it? Whatever is accessible, PVWA, it immediately retrieves that.
Last from this one.
Sorry.
I said it's the last code on.
I don't know whether it is my or your. Yeah, can you repeat it?
Said the audio.
Yeah, tell me. Repeat it again, please.
No, I get exactly what you're explaining.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but my doubts basically is the EPV stores. What exactly does it store? Because when you talk about PVWA, and dealing with the passwords, doesn't doesn't the EPV, that's the vault, don't they do the same thing? The password management?
No. You're talking about these two things, right? This vault and this PVWA?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
And CPM, sorry.
Okay. No, they're not doing the same thing. Vault is a thing, like Vault is a storage system where you have just stored all of your information. Okay. You have a storage system and you have just stored, you have onboarded your accounts, your logs, policies, everything is stored there. Now, what the CPM is doing is CPM is managing the password. Password is stored somewhere, it's stored on your vault, but to change the password, Vault does not have the permission to do it. Vault won't change it directly. Whenever a change has to be implemented, it's the CPM that does that. So, CPM, let's say there is a password change scheduled. Accounts are stored into the vault. CPM will log into the vault and it will be changing the password there. So vault is for storage. CPM is for a particular operation, that is for the change, for the password management. PVWA here, it is for the interface of the users, because if the users they directly get into the vault, they will be able to access each and everything from there, and your data will be exposed. We don't want this. So we have another component, PVWA. Users, whenever they try to get in here, PVWA will go to the vault. It will check about everything about this user's authorizations, and according to that, it retrieves the details. So the data is not getting exposed. Only the authorized permission is getting retrieved in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Any further questions, anyone?
So, do we need to have this privileged session manager? Can the connection directly goes from PVWA to the target server, like Windows server, instead of going through PSM?
No, you cannot. If you don't have PSM, your connections won't get established to the Windows server or the target server. It's the PSM who connects.
Okay, like in my previous question, is it mandatory to monitor, record the transactions? So you said that it's optional, but still you can disable the recording, but yet you
Correct.
require PSM to connect to the end server.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because these are the components, right? What these components do is they create internal users for themselves. Okay, PVWA for its backend tasks, it will be having internal users, CPM will be having it, PSM will be having it. Okay, now every different internal user, they have different functionalities. PVWA's internal user, it will have the functionality to communicate with the world and to communicate with the PVWA, PSM. Okay, PSM's internal user, it will have the permission to communicate with the world and with the target machine. Okay, so because PVW is internal user, it does not have the permission to connect to the target machine. It does not have that. That's why uh, with only this PVW, you cannot connect to the target server. Your connections won't work.
Okay.
Of course, you can disable recording for your sessions, but not having PSM is not the solution. Yeah, coming back to the workflow, so the user, they will define their credentials. PVWA immediately it will go to the vault. On the vault, there will be a users list. Within that list, it will check for this user. It will check for the authorizations. Now, whatever thing is authorized for this user, PVWA it only retrieves those information. User's login will be allowed. He will see that information here. Let's say this account is accessible for him. Okay, so this will show up here. This will populate here. But one thing that CyberArk does, it does not show up the password. Account will show up, the password will not be visible here. Why? Because if the password is visible here, in that case, the users again, they will get the access to the password and they can use it directly. But if the password is not there, users will be asked to click on connect. And because users authorization, authentication part is already done, that is why the CyberArk it knows that yes, this account is accessible and this user can use it directly without having the password. User clicks on connect. As soon as he clicks on connect, the connection gets established here. PSM starts all of its operation, monitoring, recording, isolation, and then it sends it to the target machine. Okay. So this is the entire workflow, and with this, what are we achieving? Is the first issue of your password getting exposed. That is getting prevented because the privilege account, its password is not showing up here. Second thing is you have a centralized repository as well. Everything, every log recording is there. So auditors, they won't have to go to different places for the monitoring part. They can control everything from one single place. And the third thing of the users being accountable in this way because they are going through CyberArk. So every activity they do, they log in, they use an account, they initiate a connection, they connect to the target. Everything they do, it will be mapped, it will be linked with their ID. So whatever issue you had with your remote connections, everything is resolved with this CyberArk, with this complete architecture of CyberArk. Okay, that is the thing here. Is that clear? Any questions, anyone?
So the recordings are massive. Like for each user, there will be multiple transactions. So does the vault store so much data, or that will be ingested into somewhere else?
Yes, the vault will be storing the data, and according to that, only the vault storage is planned. And one more thing that we can have here is we can have a retention period for the recordings. So yes, there will be large files for the recordings, but you can define a retention period that after 100 days or 120 days, you want the old recordings to be deleted. This is how you manage it. You will be managing the data.
Does CyberArk provide any kind of mechanism where we can push this data to some other tools?
It is possible that you can download the recordings and you can store it in a different storage system. That can be done.
Okay, is that the usual practice that companies adopt, or what do they do actually?
Sorry.
So typically the companies who use CyberArk, when they have a huge amount of recordings, what do? They get rid of the previous recordings, or do they actually transfer it to somewhere else?
It depends. Let's say if there is a recording that is not very much important, so you just delete it. It's of no use now. But if there is a recording that you want to keep, so you download it and you keep it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any further questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there like pre-made sort of resources that you feel we can get access to while you explain the details of the course for those that might want to be writing the certifications?
Can you repeat it?
I'm saying, do you have some resources that we can be going through, like side by side with the actual training for those that want to write the certifications?
Yes, I do have some dumps. I'll be sharing that in the next session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any certifications that should be done actually as a part of this?
Yeah, for PAM, we have 3 levels of certification: Defender, Sentry, and Guardian. Guardian is something, it's for the CyberArk's architect
Okay.
level. So Defender and Sentry, that is something you can go for. Defender
So,
is the level 1, Sentry is the level 2, and we are whatever we are covering here, it is going to cover both of these certifications.
okay.
Yeah.
So what can be the cost of the certifications actually?
It's $200 per certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that mandatory to do the
No,
certifications actually?
not mandatory. It depends on you. If you
Okay.
want to go for it, you can. If you don't want,
What,
you can skip it.
so as per the organizations, is that mandatory actually to do the
If you're
certifications?
having it, you will be having higher chances of getting selected. But even if you're
Oh,
not having it and you're good in the interviews, of course you can get the jobs.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So basically, that's it for today. I have another meeting just after this, so I'll be ending it here. Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you.
From the next session, we'll be starting the theory of this world in detail. And when the theory of the world is done, after that, we'll start with the installation of the world on the virtual labs. Okay. And this is how we go with every other component.
Okay. So
Yeah.
can I have the
Thank you.
recording of this session actually?
Yeah, of course. You'll be getting it after the sessions.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So
Thank
do
you.
we have this every day, every weekday at the same time,
Yeah, every weekday, same time,
not the weekends?
not the weekends.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.